4 years ago that I would be sitting on my porch in 102-degree weather, sipping on sweet tea and jamming out to Rascal Flatts, I would have questioned your sanity. I was by no means country. My favorite bands were alternative, and I did not own a single pair of cowboy boots. I straightened my hair and wore dark garish eyeliner like all the other girls in my grade. Fast forward a few years and I could not be more different. I wake up to George Strait every morning and leave my hair curly and makeup simple before I pull on my Levi's and head off to school. When I was told the life-changing news that our family was relocating to the DFW area just a few short years ago, I was convinced my life was ending. However, sitting here today, I can honestly say that I cannot be happier that I ended up in this great state, or nation as some Texans say. Rewind back to December 1993, when I was born in Orange County, California, to the most amazing parents ever. We had a large extended family that lived primarily in the Southern California area. My mother's family had been based in California since her big relocation in 1973. I was raised with family surrounding me and being present at every birthday celebration, Christmas morning, and preschool recital. I always knew Nana and Papa were going to be right down the street and could be there in minutes if I so desired. That was my reality until we received the unexpected news that my dad had taken a job in Cincinnati, Ohio. No one would think that the hospitality side of the food industry would cause a family to move all over the country, but I am living proof that the changing tastes of the USA caused us to relocate more often than we bargained for. At the time of our first big move, I was too young to comprehend what was happening around me. My little sister and I viewed the move as a new adventure, while my parents viewed it with some anxiety and trepidation. Our big transfer from the OC to Cincinnati seemed earth-shattering to our family at the time. When only 2.5 years later we received news of another big move, feelings of apprehension were stirred up all over again. We packed up our house, said our goodbyes to friends, and went on our way to Chicago, Illinois. My sister and I were still too young to truly understand the volume of how much our lives were going to change in our second big move. It was still perceived as another big adventure our parents had planned for us. After the seemingly endless drive, I distinctly remember pulling up to our new house in Fox River Grove, Illinois. It was inviting, right across from the park, and surrounded closely with houses filled with kids my age. I was so excited to meet all my new friends and go to a new school that I seemed to have completely forgotten we moved. I attribute much of my personality to how I was raised in Fox River Grove. My childhood was truly picture perfect. My best friends were our next-door neighbors. We played Harry Potter and rode our bikes like brooms. We were always together and laughed every second as we played. Most of us tried to hang out every day or at least sit next to each other on the bus ride to school. Years passed by and elementary school and middle school seemed to fly by right before my eyes. My days were filled with soccer practice and riding bikes to Starbucks with friends. It seemed like nothing in my life could faze me. My 8th grade year was going as planned. Good grades, strong friendships, and a winning soccer team gave me the confidence to take on the world. I could not think of anything that could possibly disrupt my seemingly perfect life. That was until January 2008, when my parents pulled my 6th grade sister and I into the living room one day after school. I could see in their eyes that the news they were going to present us with was going to be far from good. My dad explained yet again another move to a brand new state, and it seemed like the world around me went hazy. I had been planning my high school career with my friends for years, and now it was all about to be ruined in the matter of a minute. I remember crying for days and days after the big news, trying to convince my parents to let me live with our next-door neighbors. Anything to get them to reconsider their choice. In my heart, I knew that the decision was for the best, as my dad had been traveling quite a bit and was extremely unhappy with his job. Despite my acknowledgement of this harsh reality, my sadness and fear about moving were not put at ease. The only person I had never known that came from Texas was Sandy the Squirrel on the popular Nickelodeon show SpongeBob SquarePants. She talked funny, wore a cowboy hat, and ate nothing but fried chicken and pecan pie. I did not want to be anything like that. I perceived myself as a total city girl, a little rough around the edges and ready for a fast-paced life. The South was not going to mesh with my personality in the least. Despite my disgust and anger about having to move to the slow-paced South, we packed up the moving vans and I watched my childhood home fade away in the rearview mirror. I had never experienced such intense sadness and fear in my whole life. I had no idea how I was going to survive in high school without knowing a single person. I had seen the movies, and the new girl was almost always ridiculed and only made friends at the end of the film. The drive from Fox River Grove to Frisco was a long-filled one, with tears and awkward silences. When my family pulled up to our new house, I was not filled with the same feeling of warmth I had felt in our past move. I was simply lonely, sad, and confused. This house felt more like a prison cell than a home to me. Those first few months of living in Texas were the hardest months of my life. I stayed home most nights, sitting in my room looking at photo albums of the good old days. School was my own personal hell as I walked the hallways alone and sat unaccompanied at lunch. Getting involved in soccer helped me meet girls that had similar interests as me, and I slowly started to develop new friendships. Within 6 months, I had finally adapted to my new environment and even started enjoying going to school and making Friday night plans. I started consistently going to school athletic events and even went out on a couple dates. Making friends was not an easy process by any means, but it helped me develop a sense of confidence that I did not have prior to my move. It forced me to put myself out there to others and show my true personality. It also gave me insight into people that were not exactly like me and made me realize that I too had a little country in me. I began to feel like a happier version of myself and started becoming more comfortable with the life around me. I will be the first to admit that moving is never a fun thing to do. It is far from easy and requires a large amount of patience that many young adults do not possess. My advice for anyone that is put in that horrible position of being the new girl in town is to simply relax. It may feel like the end of the world, but it never is. People are much nicer than they are portrayed in movies, and they will warm up to you in less time than you think. The fact of the matter is that a little confidence goes a long way. Simply putting yourself out there will show others that you are open to friendship and will pay off more often than not. I often told myself that this too shall pass, and reminded myself that each day got a little better. The move of 2008 seemed like the end of the world to me at the time, but now I would not change those circumstances for anything. As I begin another chapter of my life, I know that my experiences from relocating will allow me to adapt and enjoy any environment I find